Greetings, everyone. I'm Greeny, and from what I can tell, you seem to be interested in Destiny. I mean, yeah, from what I can tell by your face, you're a total masochist, so, it's pretty obvious. I mean, you also clicked on the video, so you gotta have, like, an inkling of an idea of what I'm talking about. Wouldn't really make sense otherwise. Unless you clicked just because of the title, because, well, Destiny has a destiny. This guy's a genius! I asked Shakespeare. He said he couldn't write this. What? One of the titles of all time, everyone. Guardian games and the upcoming Iron Banner are the only real updates we've gotten from Bungie when it comes to Destiny 2. And don't worry guys, we'll talk closer to June. So there's that. You can tell it's really bad because of all the spam videos on YouTube talking about how it's the end of the world. No, guys. It's not the end of the world. Destiny still has a chance at a pretty good comeback. The end of the world is actually happening overseas, where the oil is. Like it has been for the last 2,000 years. But things aren't looking good. Every twid is God's greatest nothing burger. We have no roadmap for where things are going. Destiny 2 is currently being held together with duct tape by a skeleton crew. God bless their souls. And goofy, holographic, cosmetic horns are on sale for $10 a pop in the Eververse store. Temporary consumable, by the way. Horns. Best product ever! No gameplay content could ever compare to this. The peak of capitalism's miracles. When I propose to my someday future fiance, it's gonna be with one of these. Personally, I don't really like a lot of the content that's come out since the final shape.
Yes, very sad. Anyway, it got me thinking.
I mean, I really haven't gotten the Edge of Fate or Renegades yet because paying full price for those truly sounds like a wet dream. Yeah. I hear Renegades is great. I'm just not really into the whole Star Wars crossover. I mean, getting a lightsaber would be cool. I think the tier system is a really great step for the loot in the game. It adds a good reason to farm for new guns and pieces of armor, but it needs a lot of work. I think that when it comes to the armor, at least, it's better than the old systems, but it's not really amazing either. Your chances of getting higher tiered items, 5th tiered items, are tied to your light level, which is completely demeaning. Getting hollow foils of guns is really cool. I like that idea. It reminds me of Pokemon card training. It gives a collectible feeling to the loot. But just one recolor of a gun doesn't really feel all that special. It's just a fancy shader.
Whoa, hey!
The new system also made the rest of the armor in the game, aside from exotics, just completely useless. I mean, they can't compare stat-wise, and that sucks. And then, well, there's the portal, which, that can just stay in its dark corner over there for a little while. Much can be said about the direction of Destiny, from the arguably bad balance and meta of the game. Pulse rifles! Sorry. To the stale feeling that the repetitive content can get. To the focus on the Eververse store as opposed to playable content. No genuine interactive experience for new players. Since they deleted half of the campaigns I paid for. And no mercy for Gambit. I could easily spend hours critiquing each and every part of Destiny. But I don't find that productive. Because the poor 3 lost souls that are forced to carry this whole game on their backs at Bungie can't magically apply all of that feedback. It doesn't matter how kindly or strongly worded the outrage is at Bungie or even Sony. Feedback won't bring us the kind of game that we want Destiny to be. I'm not sure that it ever would have. But interest might. Because if a company sees that their target audience is interested in something that they can provide, any executive who doesn't act on that is going to get tied to a rocket and fired into the sun, burnt to a crisp, or something like that. I don't know if they do that here anymore. Anyways, so how am I going to create interest? After all, the interest on my unpaid medical bills is more than enough. Well, I'm going to start by spreading out and exploring new ideas for Destiny. Ideas like new content and modes. Things like additions or changes to the weapons and armor, or even the loot system. Ideas and changes for subclasses and abilities, vehicles, and interactive mechanics. The whole works. Now, of course, that isn't going to be nearly enough. It might generate some traction over time, but nothing meaningful. But I've got a good idea for that. It's a smaller portion of people in a community who are interested in watching videos over concept ideas they think will never happen. It's like writing a fanfic. YN watches as Bungie pats them on the head and builds them up the perfect update of their dreams, and then they kiss. Most realistic plot of all time. I mean, it doesn't even involve the CEO buying 20 sports cars. I'm sorry, that was a low blow. Sorry. But let me just say this. At least half of the people who have left Destiny 2 over the years would ideally be interested in interacting with content about something someone actually put together and made. Someone taking those ideas and realizing them. With luck, that will gain traction and maybe get someone's attention. There are still plenty of things Bungie can do to build this game back up. Sure, players won't all be willing to return. After the way that Bungie has acted towards their players over the years,
give me $200.
even with new interactive and replayable content, better systems and mechanics, or entire overhauls, a lot of people won't want to come back.
Hell no!
Because before Destiny can get back on track, Bungie needs to fix their reputation around it. Listen, Destiny 2 still has potential to be a monster in the gaming space. And that potential can be achieved easily with the right decisions and resources. And management too, especially that. It's all about learning from past mistakes and adapting. Destiny has gunplay and mechanics unlike anything else. Destiny 1 is good enough to keep players coming back after 12 years. Because it's simply a fantastic game, despite its flaws. I can even lay out a roadmap myself. Keep the current content light, and focus resources elsewhere. Instead of an entire big old expansion in June or fall, add a smaller piece of content that's like $15 a pop. A new game mode, a smaller new location, a parkour contest, just something fair priced and unique. Then, with the majority of your resources, work on porting all of the Sunset content back into the current engine. Red War, Curse of Osiris, Warmind, Forsaken, and any additional seasonal content that you can return to the game. The whole package. Some more work might need to be done with the engine itself as it is, and the assets you are using. 150 gigabytes for a game is a lot. And storage and game size were one of the few valid reasons for sunsetting to begin with. But seeing what other development teams have accomplished, it's absolutely plausible. Modularize repetitive textures. Get rid of as many unique environmental meshes as possible. Try to cut down the size of the cutscenes. Downsize textures and audio where possible. Not every sound or visual needs to be sharp as a razor. Build up the old campaigns and make the content meaningful to the current game. Revamp the leveling system to at least some degree, because at the current point, all of the pre-Edge of Fate campaigns and activities, they don't give any useful rewards, which is a massive problem. I recently just started playing again, and my character was at 10 light in the loading screen. Immediately, any gear that I got was at least 300 light. That isn't really good leveling. And that's a huge bit of confusion for new players. Why even buy or play the old content if it doesn't at all add to the game now? Bring back every sunset location. I'm really not sure if I'm going to be able to forgive you for taking away Titan, but I'll at least try if you give it back to me. It's been a subject that's been brought up in every conversation, I know. But the truth still is that there is no good progression experience for new players or people making new characters. Final Shape and everything that comes before it doesn't really grant any meaningful progression. There is no 1 to 500 light. It's 300 to 500 light. The light system needs a big change. And for it to really start working, it cannot be a requirement for popular activities. The leveling system has to matter in other ways. It shouldn't just be a restriction. Now, yes, introducing all of the old content back into the game, even with optimization and a huge cut down in size, it's going to make the game bloated. The amount of content new players would feel like they have to catch up to would be daunting, right? But that's exactly why it needs to be optional. Give players the option to skip any previous campaign and get necessary rewards from it. A lot of people bought the Lightfall expansion for Strand, but they didn't want to play the campaign for the right to use it. This ability to skip previous content shouldn't amp up a player's light level, but just give them what they need to get into new and more popular content. The speed of level progression between players who decide to start with past content and players who don't should be the same. The players who do should be rewarded with unique items, aspects for their subclasses, cosmetics, and currencies. These rewards shouldn't all be locked to the returned content, but it should be a lot easier to get them by playing said content. Obviously, get rid of the portal as soon as possible. But if all locations need to be in the directory, how do we keep it from getting overpopulated? Well, not every location is an individual planet, right? The Cosmodrome and the EDZ are both on Earth, as well as the tower and, I believe, another location or two. The Tangled Shore and the Dreaming City are both parts of the same place. The moon, Io, Nessus, and Titan are all moons. They could either be grouped together or with locations that they orbit. The solar system could be broken up into quadrants and sections in the directory. Maybe the size of the director could change and you could allow players to scroll through it to different locations. Or you could even have much smaller, more realistically sized locations with some kind of zooming feature where players can zoom in on a planet that they're trying to go to. There are plenty of options. I know it's a big cost, obviously, but bringing back the content players paid for is necessary to get Destiny as a whole back on track. Returning the foundational content, which builds up to later content and the current game, is necessary to give new players a game worth diving into. It's pretty hard to dive into a game when half of it is missing, with nothing left of it but a brief summary. But the key lies here in this. The vast majority of returning content, anything that existed in the game in the past, needs to be free to those who already owned them, and discounted to everyone else. Re-releasing this content with a new price tag is a poor business practice, to say the least. Look, the entire purpose of bringing back everything that's been cut from the game is to build good faith, to repair Bungie's reputation, and get players to a point where they're willing to put their money into this game. A point where they don't feel like content that they pay for is going to be taken from them. A point where they feel like the developers of the game will listen to the player base and learn from mistakes. A point where players won't have to reckon with the idea that a prime standard at Bungie is not over-delivering. Your company's success comes from your sales. Your sales come from both the quality and reputation of your product, as well as the quality and reputation of your service. You, Bungie, are struggling right now because of your reputation and your aversion to developing things that your target audience are asking you for. This isn't just game development, this is business. Good faith and reputation are an asset, sometimes far more valuable than cash. While removing content which players paid for holds up legally, it doesn't commercially. That disservice to the player base still needs to be reversed and apologized for. Refusing to make amends for that, or deflecting the blame, is the worst business decision you can make. Now, if you can return this paid content to the game, rebuild the new player experience, and then release quality content surrounded around gameplay as opposed to cosmetics, you will find success with this game. When you've patched the game back up and made an effort to rebuild Destiny 2's reputation and yours, release an expansion people will be interested in. A truly new enemy faction. No one wants to play against a reskinned version of the Cabal for the 50th time. New enemy type. Related to a new subclass with unique content like vehicles, new game modes, and rewards for exploration. I could even give you a rundown for what to make for the whole expansion in 5 minutes. Red subclass. The enemies are the Nightmare Guardians from the moon, and they want revenge on the city for feeling abandoned and whatnot. They've found a way to utilize SIVA technology to build themselves distorted guardian-like bodies. Now, I know SIVA is a bit of a no-no word for Bungie as of now, but it is what players are asking for. So long as it's iterated upon and improved, it's a fantastic piece of content to return to the game. All in all, though, Destiny still has plenty of good paths ahead of it. Whether or not Bungie will decide to take those paths is a whole different conversation. I've played this game since it released in 2014. Since I was 10 years old. I remember wandering around the Cosmodrome in the Xbox 360 demo. One of the only demos in the store which didn't have a time limit before it would kick you out and erase your progress. It was a little repetitive, but I was completely happy being stuck at level 8, only able to explore the Cosmodrome. Every fight was a challenge because I couldn't get any stronger. Walking around Skywatch felt like stepping into this real battle zone, where my actions had an impact on this conflict. I have so many stories and memories from these games, and they truly matter to me. Honestly, I would love to work at Bungie. I have a starting foundation in programming and game development, and I've got a good understanding and experience in many different fields which go into making a game. With the tools currently available, and the ability to just ask a question and get an answer from AI, I genuinely believe that I could port all of the Sunset content back into the current game on my own if I had the source code. I'd do it for free. Honestly, having a pull and overall direction for Destiny when it comes to art, design, gameplay, writing, and balancing, that sounds like a dream to me. But for now, this video and the project I'm working on are the best I can do. I'll try to put out another video as fast as I can, but I can't say I know how long that's gonna take. Anyways, peace out.